What is physical activity?
Anything that gets you moving.
Anything that gets you moving, what else?
Get your heart rate up.
Get your heart rate up, so we have to move, we have to get your heart rate up, what else?
Cardio.
Cardio? Anything else?
Physical movement.
Physical movement?
Exertion.
Exertion. Now, these are some pictures of some athletes I've worked with through the years. I also have a side consulting business. But what I want to ask you, when we talk about physical activity, is it different for the little ones?
Well,
I'm seeing yeses and I'm seeing no's.
well,
I'd say,
Yeah.
I would say yes because the coordination skills that they may not have, depending
Okay.
on what level you're talking, I'm not sure.
Absolutely. And when I say itty bitties, the little ones, I'm thinking like K through 3.
Yeah, their coordination may not quite be there, what you need there, jump roping, for instance. Yeah.
So the definition of what we would call physical activity is the same regardless. We just modify it for the size or the cognitive level that they can understand. And when we go into physical activity, we need to look at, is there a difference between the younger ones versus us as adults, or those in between, because that would be our high school grouping. And if there is or there is not a difference, how then do you address that and take care of that? Not that you're going to be physical education teachers, but how do you address that within the classroom settings where you might be? If you're going to be K through 2, because you don't want to do the FCAT, is that you? Okay. And
But you
let's
do the
say
FCAT.
in your county, they have let go of all of me in my former career. I'm now just a bigger kid now. So they let go of all physical education teachers. You have to do something. And it's rhetorical, and I guess I'm picking on you, but for any of you who picked the itty bitties, which I love to call them because I love them, what will we do for physical activity? We have to do something, don't we?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and we're going to go over some of that in just a little bit because the research behind that is where I am just ridiculously passionate about. So we have to do something for our itty bitties. What I'm going to do right now is hand out some pieces of paper to you, and per table, everyone grab about 3 or 4 sheets. And what I want you to do, this is an affinity diagram, and I want you, without speaking, is the part of the instructions, is you need to write down everything you know about physical activity with respect to our itty bitties as it applies to 2 areas, individual health and or risk behaviors. So without speaking, write down 1 thought, 1 word, 1 concept per piece of paper about physical activity and how it applies to our itty bitties. And we'll just spend about 2 or 3 minutes on this. So everything you know without talking. That's the hardest part for everyone.
Can you give us the 4 groups again? Can you go over what you want on each sheet? I'm sorry.
You're writing a thought or a concept or a phrase or a word,
Okay.
whatever comes to your mind about physical activity
Okay.
as it applies to our itty bitties. I use all these instructional strategies that we're going to use in your class here tonight and my college classes here. And interestingly, most of the research on the instructional strategies was developed for the K through 6 setting. We're now beginning to use them a lot in higher ed. And it's very interesting to see the fun results that we're getting. So your next step is, still without talking, what I need you to do is organize the concepts, words, thoughts, definitions that you just wrote down on your paper into whatever structure or system makes sense within your table. You cannot speak. So however it naturally evolves into an organization or a structure, pull those together. If you have anything that is a duplicate, you can just remove. Somehow, a leader from each table is going to emerge, and what we're going to do is to create a larger scope that's very organized with your content, thoughts, and concepts on this table here. So someone from each table, whoever wants to lead forward as leader for right now, will bring your ideas over here, and now we have to blend all the table ideas together. You cannot speak. Lay it down. And as quickly as we can, we'll try to organize this. Now, in our younger students, would we be having time constraints like this?
Can we talk?
You can, they can't. Depending on what you're teaching, and if you're trying to do an intro, which is what this works really well for, is beginning knowledge or remembering the facts and trying to bring it forward. You don't want them really to talk at all, but it's okay if you allow time constraints. You can't let it go on for forever. And typically the younger they are, the shorter the time frame. Because of the 20-minute rule, they just don't quite have the attention span. In my classrooms, usually at most, I will let the first set part of it go on for about 5 minutes. They're writing fast and furious. If you have duplicates, you can pull those out.
By the end of the part.
Okay.
It's like watching a surgeon at work.
Right?